It finally happened, my friends. It finally happened. He's here. We're gonna bash out some sort of conversion. I apologise for any shaky cam. He is here. Check this out. How great a community do we have on this channel? John, may Dante win you many games in the years to come. By the blood are we made strong. Kind regards, Mike. Mike, you're a superstar. I'm gonna knock this out, but I've got some extra bits and bobs here. So I'm gonna do something a bit different. I'm gonna try and focus on that. I'm also gonna try and focus on the Dante. So, without any further ado, let's dive into what's going to happen, how we're going to do a little bit of customization. It'll be a conversion. Oh, I better put my baby monitor on. The joys of parenthood. Alright, time to get converted, get this guy open. I'm so excited. Thanks again, Mike. Alright, let's take it off.
Okay, so friends, I felt very excited to finally get Dante, and I thought to myself, I really want to take my time and do him justice. I guess I've waited so long for him. Thanks again, Mike, for sending this over. So I figured I'd film it, and I figured I'd try and do something different. I liked this new Dante sculpt. I think it's pretty cool, but I felt like there was maybe something we could do to it. I also felt the base seemed a little bit barren when I looked at it a bit. Maybe that's just me. Maybe the base is fine. So anyway, I'm very lucky in that I had some friends that may be going to give me some parts, so we're going to do a conversion. I also took like a really long time with every single piece in this kit and decided that I was really going to try and get rid of any sort of mold lines or any sort of snip, you know, like little bits of plastic left over when you snip it. I had seen, obviously, a bunch of people enter Dante into the painting competition on the channel a few months ago, and some of the Dantes were amazing. But the right leg of Dante definitely had this bit where like a lot of people had ended up with like a dirty grate mark on one of his knee, sort of like almost to the, I guess it's on the inner calf of his right knee. So I thought to myself, like, I'm just going to take ages, I'm going to try and sand down everything, I'm going to try and have this model be damn near perfect. I might even drill the barrel because everybody makes fun of me for not doing that. So this is kind of where we were at with Dante. So I slowly worked through the instructions, and you can see me meticulously cleaning every single piece. Like, I just wanted him to be perfect. I had him in my basket, or I'd ordered him. I was waiting like 8 weeks for him. It was kind of ridiculous how long I was waiting, and it just never came and never came and never came. So fortunately, one of the community members finally sent this across. So super excited to get it, super excited to make it and finally get him in my games. Unfortunately, Dante's rules aren't as good as maybe we had hoped for 10th edition, so we're not going to see Dante as much as I'd hoped. I thought I was going to say his rules aren't good for 9th, he's back for 10th. No, it seems that his rules aren't that great in 10th either. I don't know if I rate Battle Shock all that highly, and I guess... well, right now he can only really go, or you want to go running with Sanguinary Guard, and Sanguinary Guard horrifically overcosted. Hopefully that will change soon, or maybe this will change by the time I release the video, but right now it's not good. So I'm basically dry fitting everything, and I use this Revil plastic cement. I think it's a great glue. It's very easy to apply, and it holds pretty quickly on these GW plastics. I'm still sad about the Forge World stuff being made in Legends, but I guess it means I'll never have to mess around with the stupid Forge World resin anymore, so I guess I'm happy about that. Anyway, the reason I wanted to film the whole conversion from the start, or the whole build, from the start to the end, was that was how this channel got started. If you go back to the very start, the first 4 or 5 videos are just me making some models on camera, talking about why, like, you know, little conversions that I made here and there. And I still don't know who it was that subscribed to the channel at the very start like that, when all I was doing is conversions. But whoever you are, thank you so much. You gave me the confidence to go on and make so many more videos. So this video is not going to be for everybody. The channel's evolved a lot. But some people have asked over the last year, do I still do any sort of conversion work? And I guess I spent a lot of time making tactics videos and doing live battles and all the other stuff. But yes, if there's an opportunity to make something, to do a little bit of a conversion work, that's probably the thing I like the most, giving my models a little bit of uniqueness, I guess. And in this hobby, I feel like there's a lot of ways to creatively do that. I'm just realizing as I'm filming this, my hands are off the camera, like way too much in this. So this is actually terrible. I guess I didn't like. I was trying to watch the Scotland game that night as well. Scotland actually beat Norway after beating Spain, and Scotland are in a great place actually for the first time ever in my life. So I was very probably distracted by the Scotland game, but yeah, you can see here I'm just like going around the model multiple times. I think that's me actually working on that little right knee pad, or the inner calf of the right knee, like I said. And I'm basically just going to try and clean. I wanted this model to be perfect. I really did. Oh, I finally realized that I'm not very much on camera and I've moved my hands over. That only took, well, this is going at double or triple speed, so it only took like 20 minutes. But yeah, so I think having made this model, this might be one of the coolest Primaris models we've ever had. I think I'm fine to say that. I think the Mephisto model was good, but I think the Dante model, for me anyway, he just feels more. He's got more oomph. He's got more panache. I really thought he might be toughness 5, like an Inceptor. Unfortunately, no, he's just toughness 4. But he feels giant. Like if you put him next to another Space Marine, he feels very large, and the model's absolutely gorgeous. There's no two ways about it. The detail on it, it definitely does the 1993, I think, Dante so much justice. And I'm actually working through a video where I'm painting him at the moment, and I've had like 1 or 2 sessions, and I'm maybe halfway through that video. And painting him is also very much pleasurable. It is a joy. He's a gorgeous model. I can't wait to have him finished and show him with you guys. I think I finally now understand why on the Blood Angels Reddit, for basically the best part of what was it like, probably possibly even now, every day someone is sharing their Dante. I think I finally get it, guys. I mean, I was 2 months behind. I ordered on pre-order morning. I ordered 10 minutes after. I ordered at 10:14. And honestly, I was on the website from 10 to 10, and the website just kept crashing. So here's me finally, my first ever gun barrel I am going to drill. I have never drilled a gun barrel before. I've used the drill a lot for like magnetizing weapon arms and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I'm 100% on my barrel. You'll see at the end of the video. You can decide if you want it. It's not too bad, the gun barrel. I don't really know if infernal pistols are supposed to have a barrel, but mine does now. So don't judge me. I have a gun barrel. If you've never used a drill like this, a Dremel, it's very easy. You just start with a smaller one and then work up to the size you're happy with. Is usually the way that I do it. So I wasn't really sure how deep to drill it either. I think I'd probably end up drilling it maybe like a ½ centimeter, maybe slightly more. So yeah, basically every single piece, I'm looking over every piece and definitely cleaning every little join, and also yeah, I've drilled my first gun barrel. Will I drill another one? Maybe if we get another cool character as good as this. I'm not going to drill it on every squad. I don't have time for that. I don't think I would drill it on a tank either. But yeah, I guess if we get another named character as cool as Dante, then I will drill it for sure. I also used the knife there to just poke some of these little bits in. It's actually quite a fiddly model. Like those purity seals are very small. And yeah, he's coming together. You can see that. And yes, this is taking me a long time, but like I said, I really felt like it was an important model to get right. The shoulder pads are going to be interesting for me because I don't really know why, but I wanted Dante to have wings. I was convinced that he could look good with wings, but wasn't 100% sure if that's basically what we were going to do. Like, were we going to have some wings on Dante? I also am using a nail file quite often here. You can see that nail files are like super cheap. You can get like a pack of them for like $1, and I guess if you're just if there's certain bits that you just can't get rid of, I mean, I'm actually at this point I'm like filing away the bit that sticks to the base. I probably don't need to be so determined, but I just decided, I was like, someone has sent me this model for free for the channel. I'm going to do my utmost to make this friggin' epic. And also, I've been waiting for Dante to get a new model for probably the best part of like 20 years, right? Like I've collected Blood Angels since 1994, I think. So, and while the metal model of Dante was fine, for the last 15-20 years, I probably wanted a new one, right? Because like, we're finally there. So then it came down to this determination to basically get wings on Dante. So I've pulled a couple of old Death Company and other shoulder pads there, and I've pulled an old set of Sanguinar wings. And my thought behind the wings was, I want to play competitively. So I wanted Dante to, you know, I didn't want to stick wings on him and be like, right, he's not as competitive as he was right now, because I've made him much bigger and I'm going to make him much more difficult to hide behind a piece of terrain or something. So what I thought was, I had a couple of sets of Sanguinary Guard wings. I think I got like one more set, so I've got one more character that I can maybe do. And then I had this one Sanguinar that I had previously converted into a jump captain, so he didn't have wings. So my thought was like, alright, let's see if we can put wings on him without essentially like modeling for disadvantage. Like, I don't want to make him worse in a competitive sense. So once I'd got the wings, or found the wings from my bits box, I guess the idea was to clean up the jump pack. And it is a friggin' cool jump pack, I must admit. His jump pack somewhere, it's like a cross between a Sanguinary Guard jump pack, a Reaver jump pack, and also like a Gravis and Scepter jump pack. And I actually struggled a little bit to get this jump pack made. And the reason behind that was that the different pieces for like, I guess the exhaust vents, the instructions weren't super clear on which way they should be angled, and I felt like they fitted in at different angles. So I ended up going onto the Games Workshop website and actually like watching the video of Dante on the GW website being made, so that like I could figure out exactly which angle to put these jetpack pieces at. I've also just realised 10 minutes into this that I could be doing this on my green screen so you could see me on screen. So hello, I am here. Anyway, yeah, so jump pack took me ages. It was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think the instructions for it were very good at all. So I just worked through the jump pack with the idea of basically trying to dry fit the jump pack to his back, and then see if we can dry fit in some wings. Now that was a lot more challenging than it might sound, because basically like you need, I was gonna say maybe I could have done it better with like blue tack. Like maybe I could have tried to blue tack some of the wings in, and then once the wings had been on, put the jump pack on and then see how much space there is, and at least finally at least I'm working underneath the camera and you can actually see what the hell I'm doing. So I figured that part out. I'm trying to think how long this must have taken. I think this build alone, even though it's just one character, you can see me, you know, like I'm dry fitting these and I'm like, is this right? I have no idea. So I fitted the top caps first. I do really like Dante's jump pack. Imagine how cool a new squad of Sanguinary Guard might be with Dante, but yeah, once I got the jump pack to sort of this point, I think I had to go onto the GW website and watch the reveal video for Dante like 4 or 5 times to try and figure out just which way around the jets would go. So that took me a few minutes to definitely sort out. I also wanted to just again make sure that everything was like super clean, like there wasn't any bits of glue, there wasn't any bits of plastic. Trying very hard to make sure that the Dante model is perfect. I mean, I like to make all my models good, but I definitely went to the nth degree on this Dante model, because I was like, yes, this has to be perfect. So after like 5 minutes over on the Games Workshop site, I decided that I now knew which way around these things were going to go. It was, like I said, it wasn't super obvious. I guess we're not used to doing these new type of jump packs, and I just wanted the exhaust vents to be right. The amount of times I've stuck something upside down and then someone will be like, hey, you stuck something upside down. I'm like, oh, no. So I just didn't want to deal with that. So we finally figured that out, and then the next part was kind of like these little, like, I guess they're almost like reaver vents, fans, whatever you would call them. I don't know what they're called. Little pieces that are used, the fins, I think they'd be called fins. They're like the jump pack fins. Who knew jump packs need fins? I mean, Reavers had it, but I guess you don't really see Reavers, or Reavers have it and you don't really see them on the tabletop. You do, yeah, and sometimes when you're doing a model like this, especially if you're using plastic glue, it can sometimes be easy to get too much plastic glue. So you can see there I have a paper towel handy as well. So, I mean, I do that with super glue as well. Anytime you get too much glue, trickier with super glue because you don't want to stain your fingers or whatever. But, you know, get any excess glue off, because it'll just melt the plastic. It might cause some deformation. It's not that big a deal. I think plastic glue is actually brilliant stuff. But yeah, so I just mop any extra glue away and then leave it for a minute. So I have my jump pack, I have my Dante, and I was trying to work out, like, at this point, I want to work out, if I do put that on, how am I getting wings on? Am I getting wings on? Because I guess when you put the wings on, you've still got shoulder pads to put on. So this is actually where it was very tricky, because it was like, I've got these wings, and I've got the jump pack, and I've got the shoulder pads, and I need to kind of hold them all next to the model, or hold them all in the model, and figure out, like, can these fit in? Is it going to cause problems when I'm modeling? Is it going to cause problems when I'm painting? It's also worth noting that those wings aren't plastic, so I'm not going to be able to use plastic glue in them, so there needs going to be some super glue in here as well. And I'm kind of trying to, that's why I grabbed a couple of extra shoulder pads. I guess this is a good idea to have, like, if you ever have Blood Angel shoulder pads, or if you have spare shoulder pads, if you're ever going to try and do conversions, extra shoulder pads are going to be really useful, because maybe I think one of Dante's shoulder pad has this big rim on it, and I think on the picture they want that to be on his left arm, and I think I have it on his right arm. I was going to say, I have the box here, yeah, so I think his shoulder pad with the big rim at the top is supposed to be on his left arm. So I've used a completely different shoulder pad for my Dante, because I wanted to try and get those wings in. I filed a little bit of the wings as well. You can see me doing that. Like, sometimes you need to file the pieces that you're going to be working with, and I spent ages here, honestly. I mean, this is like, I think this is 2 or 3 times speed, and I must have spent, like, because it took me the whole evening to do this. You can see there I'm trying the different shoulder pads. Obviously, this is why I think a bit of blue tack would have helped. I'm just trying to see, like, what are they going to obscure in terms of detail wise. And at that point, I guess I made the call where, like, I can't hold all this. I'm just going to stick the jump pack on. Sticking the jump pack on, I felt like there was probably enough space between the jump pack and his back where, like, we can do the wings, and maybe if we cut down a shoulder pad or something, we can make this happen. So as always, I left this to dry for a little bit, and then I guess that's the Sanguinary Guard shoulder pad I'm going to try. I'm going to try it on both arms, and then I'm going to try and see. So I'm basically looking for a shoulder pad that is the most flush, but still ornate. So here you can see me basically, I think I snipped a tiny bit off one of the shoulder pads as well, like to try, like at the very back where it would be tight to the wing. I think I tried like grabbing my snips and snipping a couple of shoulder pads, just like a little bit off where like you basically won't be able to see the detail, but it'll just let that wing fit in between the backpack and the shoulder pad, and like it can be daunting to try and do this, especially if, like, you know, if you don't have loads of extra bits and stuff, you don't want to be cutting shoulder pads up. You've spent good money on them, I get it, I suppose, but I do have lots of like I have a fair amount of extra pieces in my bits box, and I was determined to make this work. And I've hacked models together. There's a few videos on this channel where I've been like, right, this is gonna work regardless. I guess you get to a point where like you're just gonna make it work. So you're like, right, I'm just like how I stuck the backpack on. It's just like I'm just gonna glue something in, and I have to hack a bit off that shoulder pad to get it to sit nice. I'll hack a bit off, and that's what I'm trying on basically both sides. Is like, how much clearance is there? Is there a way to get a bit more clearance? And this is where a nail file can actually be really useful as well, because you can just file precisely a couple of millimeters at a time what you need. So yeah, you can see how many times I dry fitted this. Probably dry fitted it like 20 plus times. You can see I grabbed my Gorilla Glue down, and you can also see that I guess I'm like filing ever so slightly different pieces, or I've kind of settled on 2 shoulder pads there. So hopefully the 2 shoulder pads I have settled on will work. And yeah, this was a fun conversion. I really enjoyed doing this conversion. I don't think enough people do, like, I don't know if enough people decide to do conversions in this hobby, but I love them. I think they're fun. They're so fun. Just for me, it's as fun as painting. Like, make the model your own. I know you make the model your own when you paint it, but I think like having a Dante that looks different from everyone else, I feel cool about that. I feel very happy about that. So, obviously got my super glue. I've got the models. I'm ready to basically spark some glue on those wings and get them on. And I think I dry fitted the wings around both ways, so I know which way is going to be best. I think the wings could have actually gone either way, and I kind of made a call that the wings stick out as much as his axe or his gun, so I felt like there was no real model for disadvantage. Now I have cut some of the time out of this video where basically I guess like I was waiting for parts to dry, or maybe I was watching football, but yeah, there's like a couple of times in this video where there's like time jumps where like I guess I was going to look in my bits box, or I decided something, and I think the main thing for this was to just not rush. Like, I think for me it's sort of like it shows determination. I am determined that I'm going to fit these wings in. I guess when you're making your Dante, look at how much space there is between his shoulder pads and the wings, and decide if there was enough space to get some wings in. So I basically had carved enough off this shoulder pad on one side, and see here, yeah, this is it. So I carved off shoulder pad on the other side. So basically the back corner of the shoulder pad, so I guess like round near your shoulder blade on your back, I've cut a tiny bit off the shoulder pads. So what that's going to let me, that detail is going to be completely obscured when I put those wings in, and that's going to let those wings sit nicely. And I guess I'm so confident on that I've actually glued those shoulder pads on without even dry fitting the wings. And now I'm off to work on the Dante's head. I guess get that glued together, because that's obviously what's coming up next. So again, everything's getting cleaned up. But yeah, it's, to me that's actually mad. I guess in real time you don't realize some of the ways you've done it, but I guess like I decided how much space was between those shoulder pads and his backpack, and I've decided to cut a little bit off both shoulder pads. I didn't even dry fit them, I just stuck them on. I feel like I should have dry fitted them, because if I come to it in 2 or 3 minutes it doesn't fit, then I'm up shit creek, right? But no, I did it. I guess that's where I am. So Dante's head, some people weren't so sure about the head piece. Once you get the head made and you look at it up close, I think it looks awesome. Everything about Dan, like, even though I changed mine from the vanilla version a little bit, I think the vanilla version is awesome. I think he's even more awesome with wings. I guess, I don't know if you can still buy the Sanguinor, but if you've got a spare Sanguinor around, I guess you're going to see in a couple of minutes what he looks like finished with Sanguinor wings. And, you know, maybe that's a project for the future if you haven't done it. But, you know, like I said, I'm very lucky. Some people on this channel send me pieces, People give super chats. People can now even do super thanks. So if there's a video that's super useful, you can do a super thanks on that video. Yeah, I'm very lucky. I'm privileged to get to work on this hobby in the way that I do. So thanks everyone that supports me. I mean, it means a lot, and it lets me follow my passion. And hopefully I can inspire some of you to do this. So you can see here, like I said earlier, we're still working on sub-assemblies, lots of little sub-assemblies, and now let's see how those wings go in. And at this point, although I cut those shoulder pads, I kind of wanted to see what the wings looked like from behind, because I was basically like, I thought he did. I remember at the time doing it, but apparently at this point I just went, F it. Clarted one wing with a ton of super glue and shoved it in there, and probably, I was going to say, did I leave it 5 minutes? I think I left it like 30 seconds there. I know this footage is faster, but that wasn't long at all. So yeah, I guess I'm confident in the glue. I haven't used it before. Obviously, I love that Gorilla Glue. So this is the same thing that I recommend for if you're doing Sangre Guard. A lot of people struggle with Sangre Guard. Struggle with the wings because they've got small contact points. Clark the contact points and then lay the model down on its front so it's like face down, and let gravity stick it for you, right? Like, so I've got him glued. Like, there you go. He's laid face down. Gravity is doing its work. I don't have to hold it. I don't have to worry about it. Let the gravity, let the glue catch it a little bit, and then leave it face down for like 10 minutes, and you're going to be golden. So I'm just going to move Dante over there. The head, the base, I've cleaned up a little bit. So now it's time to think about, like, I guess I'm just inspecting my work. Did I do a good job? So now it's time to think about what the hell else is going on the base. I don't know if you caught a glimpse of the instructions there, but I had some sprues given to me by a Chaos player. And obviously Dante fought a Bloodthirster of Khorne. I think it was Kabanda or something. I can't remember the name exactly. Kabanda? Someone's going to correct me in the chat. It was in Devastation of Baal. That was a thing, right? I haven't read Devastation of Baal in like 5 years. I need to reread it. But I was convinced Blood Angels were fighting Tyranids, and at the same time there was a demonic incursion, and Dante had to fight, like, I think it was a Bloodthirster. I'm like convinced of that. Which makes me think Ultramarines are really weak, because they just got beat in the Battle of Ogshron by the Tyranids, and they didn't have to deal with the demons as well like we did. So fortunately, I've got basically the spare head from a Bloodthirster on the sprue. So that was my first thought, was like, what if I put the head of a Bloodthirster on the base of my Dante? How would that look? So basically I just go ahead and start working on the head. The head obviously has a few big horns, and 4 in fact, yeah, 4 horns. But I also had another Chaos sprue, so I built 2 things here. And I was going to basically try and figure out which one, basically again, coming back to the dry fitting, like, build it, position it, see if you're happy. If you're happy, great. If you're not happy, then change it up. I didn't know which one I would be more happy with. I knew that the decapitated head of a Bloodthirster would probably be more thematic with what Dante has killed recently in the lore. Because I remember that, like, basically the World Eaters are our #1 enemy, well, bar back Black Legion, I guess. But yeah, we've been fighting them for a while, and I also had a Tzeentch head. It was the head of, like, I think it was either the Fate Weaver or the Keeper of Secrets. I want to say, no, not the Keeper of Secrets, sorry, the Fate Weaver or the Lord of Change. It could have been either of the heads. You'll see it in a minute. So meanwhile, I sort of dry fit this Bloodthirster head. I think I was lucky. I guess those models come with 2 heads. And one of my friends from work, or one of the friends from the chat, basically that plays me on the channel, was able to give me this Bloodthirster head, but also the Tzeentch head as well. I thought the Tzeentch head would be cool because it would be a contrast in color from the Blood Angels. But I guess ultimately I ended up going with the Khorne head. But you can let's watch through the process and see what I did. You know, I think that might have been the tongue or something. And what's funny is when I was actually making this corn head, I was like, you know what? For as many years as I've been in this hobby, I always just make Marines mainly. I suppose I've made like some stuff for other games, you know, like I've made Aliens or I've made Star Wars Stormtroopers and stuff, but the most time I'm making humans. So when I was making this Bloodthirster head, I kind of felt like a little bit out. I was like, oh, this is different. This is not the sort of model that I would normally make. This feels very strange. So I guess you get used to what you know here. So after a little while, I guess those wings will be dry, so I may as well get Dante attached to his other leg. That is the leg that attaches to the base. Some people have been, when I first saw that Dante, I was worried. I was like, oh god, it looks like there's a tiny connection between his foot and that base, but that bit is all one piece. So the connection is actually on his leg. So thanks for doing that, Games Workshop. The connection on his foot would have sucked. Again, you can see how quickly I put that model down, that Dante. I just attach the big bit and then, you know, let gravity take over. So here is the head of the Bloodthirster. It's ready to be stuck together. Put on his jaw, put in his tongue. I think maybe I had one. I can't even remember what that bit that I'd snipped off is. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe it's the back of his head. I guess we'll figure that out in a second. So yeah, Dante is like, he just needs glued to the base and his head put on at this point. And I was looking at the wings and I was like, they look good from the front. They actually look really good in the back. I guess pure luck that the back looks good. I guess the Sanguinar wings just work really well. It's almost like a metal bit comes out the bottom of his jump pack and just covers over. There's literally no problem on them whatsoever. I haven't quite worked out exactly how they're going to be painted. But what I needed to do here, and you'll see, I actually, because that one shoulder pad was on the wrong shoulder, I had to clip like a little bit of that shoulder off, like the ridgy bit that sits at the top of the shoulder. I had to clip it off so that when his head sat in its slot, there's like a purity seal and there's like his iron halo, I believe it is, and they come out the back of his helmet. And because they come out the back of the helmet, I had to like clip off a tiny little bit of that so that the helmet would sit at the right angle. And I guess that's the danger when you start doing this. I could have potentially had some problems there. I got lucky. I clipped it twice and it was meant to be. It just came off in like 2 seconds flat. And then I was like, alright, so let's have a look at how Dante looks on the base with a Bloodthirster head on the base, you know, just filling up the base. And it actually looked pretty decent. I was pretty pleased with it. The left horn, because the Bloodthirster's got like 4 horns, the left horn of the Bloodthirster was basically touching Dante's foot, so I didn't like that. But yes, Lord of Change and Kairos Fateweaver, I guess, are the same kit. I did not know that, even though I had the instructions in front of me. Apparently I'm remembering now, those are the same kit. So, I'm not sure which head Brett built it with, but I had the spare head on the sprue. So I'm flicking through to try and find the spare head. So it was either going to be the Bloodthirster head or this Fateweaver head. And I felt the same about building the Fateweaver, in that like I was like, oh, Zinchi things. It's a long time since I built the Zinchi things. I do have some Thousand Suns, but they don't get much action. Not since I started doing the Blood Angels channel, but I figured it was time to get onto the Zinchi things. So I basically skipped forward to the end of the Zinchi. I decided not to go with this head. If I was going to go with the head, I'd probably have cut the back of it to make it look a bit more decapitated. But basically, like I said, dry fitting is your friend, and now I have a Zinch head to stick on the base of maybe one of my Ballistus Dreadnoughts or something. That'll be coming up, I guess. So yeah, I have my 2 heads. Obviously now I have my completed, or close to completed Dante. And I think that the Zinch head would have actually worked. It might have even worked quite nicely, like wrapped around the pillar that he stands on. But the cornhead, for whatever reason, felt like it really was ready to sit in, and I snapped off one horn and then another horn. And my idea was that basically Dante has, while been fighting it, cut off 2 of his horns. I used my nail file a little bit to just file those up, and then basically it meant that, one, it wouldn't overlap the base. And like I said, I didn't want to be modeling for disadvantage. I didn't want to make it harder to put him into situations because there's a big demon head on his base. So I didn't want the corn head to really overlap the base in any way, shape, or form. So snapping off 2 of the horns. Well, one of the horns, like I said, made it harder for... It would have made it harder for me to paint. And then the other horn... I had to slap glue all over this though, because obviously it wasn't supposed to be there, and it didn't quite get a good hold where I was trying to place it. I was going to say, did I have to snip something else off? I don't quite remember. No, I just went like, F it, let's get a ton of super glue and we'll get this stuck on there. So if in doubt, plastic glue doesn't work, slap on the super glue, and then, I mean, I guess I don't think you can tell that I just went ham with the super glue on it. That's gonna need a minute or 2 to dry though, because that was that was like the you're 99% done, you want to be done, let's get it done sort of moment. So when I'd cut the horn, unfortunately the Keeper's Secrets horn was actually hollow. I didn't realize this till I snapped it off. So I took a tiny little bit of liquid green stuff, like literally tiny, and just filled in that hole there, spread it out, just so that basically I can paint over that. I assume that any cut off horn would bleed. I'm not actually sure though. So anyway, Dante got rid of 2 of these guys' horn. Leave me a comment. Tell me if you think there should be blood in a cut off horn. So I'm done. So what I thought I'd do then is I would give him a spray, because the spray will help bring out all the detail. And I usually like to spray Sanguinary Guard gold. I usually like to start with a deeper. So here he is in, hopefully, some sort of decent glory. I've got 2 bits of video here to show you just how he looks with Bloodthirster on his base. And yeah, I mean, I just felt really, really happy with him. I think I'd have been happy with him anyways, but I think the wings, obviously because they're the Sanguinar wings, they kind of suit him perfectly. They kind of fit on the back damn near perfectly. I got lucky. What do they always say? Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Well, yeah, maybe that's me. So I gave him a spray of black. Like I said, I like to start with a black spray. Black's easy to see if you've missed any bits or whatever. So there was the spray of black, and then my thought behind that was I wanted to keep the base black, but I wanted to spray the rest of him with like Retributor gold. So masking tape, I guess in this case, is your friend, or can be your friend, can save you, because the thing is, if I spray the base gold, I'm just gonna have to paint over it black or silver or something anyway. So I just sort of here covered up his base kind of crudely. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to save myself having to the whole base covered in metallic gold that, you know, I'm just going to have to get rid of basically. So covered him up a bit with masking tape. Get some thinner masking tape out as well, so that just basically like I can try and keep him. It's handy to have masking tape, yeah. Anytime you're spraying, especially if you're like, I just actually did some masking tape today on some flight stands, because if you varnish your flight stands, they'll go all cloudy. But I stick my flight stands to bases, and I want the bases to look, you know, I want the bases to look the same as all my other bases, you know, like Astro Granite with the varnish. So yeah, I also, I guess, I'd forgotten that I did this actually. I masking taped the wings, because I guess painting, the wings are going to be grey, or light grey, or off-white, and if I want to paint, it just means I'm going to have to do loads of coats of like an off-white over the black. Sorry, over the gold. So I thought, like, I'll just keep the wings black as well. So I guess I kind of clarted this guy in in masking tape. You'll see how it goes. It works fine. Masking tape's also got, like, masking tape's terrible in terms of like how sticky it is, right? Like, you can just pull it straight off. I guess it's designed to mask things like when you're painting walls or skirting boards. So masking tape usually comes off very, very easily. It doesn't really leave any residue on the model, what's like anything noticeable. Like, maybe the model would be the tiniest bit sticky for about an hour and then it's gone. And painting over masking tape, or painting over an area that's had masking tape, is fine. So this stage doesn't need to be perfect. And it's probably never going to be perfect. This might just save you a little bit of time, and that was my thought behind it. And here he is, all sprayed gold, and then it's just a case of trying to get the masking tape back off without damaging the model. Gold's going to have got into a couple of places you maybe didn't want gold, but it's not going to be like the whole base is gold now and I'm going to have to paint the base a different color or something like that. So I guess take your time doing this. This possibly looks like I'm not. At this point I'm probably done. I'm like, I've spent ages on this, so I want it to be cool. Look how cool that black Bloodthirster head looks on there. I can't wait to have this model finished. I think it's going to be possibly the coolest Blood Angel model I have in my collection. I don't have this Sanguinar. I don't have Sanguinius, and my Falchion is now gone to Legends, which I'm very sad about because the Falchion was the super heavy tank. It was like my baby, so maybe this guy now needs to be my baby. I think he looks so cool, right? And Retributor Armor Gold. A tip sometimes when you're painting Retributor Armor Gold is you kind of have to paint Retributor Armor from the pot all over the gold, again, just to get like a really nice thin, a nice good coat. But yeah, for a quick spray, he looks so cool. I mean, he might have even worked. Like, I could have maybe kept his wings black, but I've decided that I'm going to go with my standard wing color. Thanks so much for watching. You've got to the end of the video. Please consider liking, subscribing. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.